Assalamu alaikum guys, welcome back. Let's get into it.
This summit may not have been made for peace, but it was definitely made for television. More Love Island than superpower face-off. The guest from Moscow must have pinched himself. As a wanted war criminal, this should have been Vladimir Putin's perp walk in many other countries. But to tread the red carpet in the one country that has the power to rein him in was a gift. The brief display of American military muscle was all part of the show.
President Putin, will you stop killing civilians?
You heard. That kind of shouted question would have got you arrested or worse in Russia. But it didn't spoil the joyride in the beast. Vladimir Putin beaming in the knowledge that he is no longer frozen out by Washington, D.C.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press.
Mr. Putin, will you
Press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press.
In the meeting room, a blizzard of unruly questions and a wince from Putin that may explain why the two later failed to give the press the opportunity to ask any questions.
Thank you, press. Thank you, press.
Let's go!
President of the Russian Federation.
Fast forward after 3 hours of talks, the precise nature of which remain a mystery. The press, Russian and Western, rose to their feet, but did the leaders rise to an occasion billed as historic?
Уважаемый господин президент,
The guest spoke before the host, also unusual, and flattered him relentlessly, including repeating one of Trump's favorite lines, that the war would never have happened if he had been in power.
я помню, что в 2022
I
году
remember that in 2022, during the last contacts with the previous administration, I tried to convince my former American colleague that we should not let things get to a situation. And today when we hear President Trump say that if I were president, there would be no war, I think that this would actually happen.
He repeated his principal point that the conflict can only end if the root causes are solved. Code for, I don't want Ukraine to be an independent country.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President. That was very profound.
Over to President Trump.
I believe we had a very productive meeting. There were many, many points that we agreed on, most of them, I would say, a couple of big ones that we haven't quite gotten there, but we've made some headway. So there's no deal until there's a deal.
He went on to brief the Ukrainians and NATO partners, but there was no mention of invasion or ceasefire, let alone war crimes. Trump's spit lasted barely 4 minutes, a record shorty for the man who usually likes to weave on and on.
We're going to stop really 5, 6, 7,000, thousands of people a week from being killed, and President Putin wants to see that as much as I do. So, again, Mr. President, I'd like to thank you very much, and we'll speak to you very soon and probably see you again very soon. Thank you very much, Vladimir.
next time in Moscow.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I don't know. I'll get a little heat on that one, but I could see it possibly happening. Thank you very much, Vladimir. And thank you all. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
But no thanks from the audience, which was left mystified, and from the Ukrainians, who must have blanched at the flattery as well as the lack of substance about the fate of their nation at war. Putin, the former KGB spy, almost broke into a dance, he was so happy. Flattery had worked on Trump like a Soviet honey trap.
You don't have the cards right now.
Contrast this with Zelensky's Oval Office mauling in February, which set the tone.
Because you're in no position to dictate that. Remember this. You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
Zelensky is due back in this room on Monday. He posted today that he was grateful for the invite and hoped America would use its power to influence the situation. How Alaska will be remembered will depend on the follow-up meetings and the course of the conflict. But the Russian president turned war criminal left Alaska with the ultimate big power compliment, an American fighter escort. Get home safely, Vladimir.
You know, the funny thing is that, this is just the first meeting, this is just test the waters out there, It doesn't take everything, lay everything down on the ground and you should do this, you should do that. These are, sorry, I got hiccups. Sorry, these are two powerful countries, both nuclear armed. They can easily but this world at the end, they both got nukes, dangerous countries. That's why you got to keep it respectful and humble. I believe that Donald Trump didn't put too much pressure is because of that reason, and also he's have a lot of tension from the Middle East, a lot of backlash supporting Israel to for the Great Israel Project. When I looked on the map of the Great Israel Project, it mentions a lot of Saudi Arabia, a lot of chunk of Saudi Arabia, and a lot of chunk of Egypt, Lebanon, Jordan. I think the whole of Jordan, Lebanon, Syria. You know, destabilization in the country in the region, so it's easy for them to conquer. You know, so it's hard to say. Just the first meeting. You shouldn't get your knickers in a twist. Yeah, just be patient, and you just have to listen to the follow-up
बहुत ज़्यादा
meetings.
तेज़ बारिश थी वो सैलाब आ गया सूरत हाल इस तरह थे कि मैं आपको क्या बताऊँ मतलब क़यामत सुग़रा था हज़ारों की तादाद में लोग ज़ख्मी हुए सैकड़ों की तादाद में शहीद हो गए काफ़ी घर सैलाब में बह गए हुए अभी तक काफ़ी लोग लापता है
دا اوبه راغلې د دې غره نه ساس کې شی او کوڅه چل شی او په موږ راغلې ناڅاپه سهار او موږ یې داسې کړو چې موږ کورونه مکمل بند وو موږ د کورونو وتی نه شو ګیر چاپېره خوړو موږ ته خو ډېره سختي دا وه چې ټول واړه زاګو ټولو ژړل خو موږ به خدای ته به سوال کوو چې خدایه خیر خدایه خیر زمونږ ټولې د فقیرانو کوټې مې لیدلي بازار هم ختم شوی دی دا لنډی بازار او دا ګاډی زموږ خپل دی او دا زموږ د دیرې نه اوبو راوړی دی
دا خو په پورته تندرونه لګېدلي سیلاب راغلی او دا نقصانونه انسانان یې موړي دا دوکانونه ورسره یې دا کړو ختم یې کړو دا حال دی په پورته ګورئ دا سامانونه ټول پراته دی په دې ځایونو کې مټایانې دوکانونه دا ورسره یې دننه پکې پیسې وي هغه پیسې یې راوموړي دي ورسره یې وړي دي
نو اوس ملګري راته
सर ये जो रात के फ्लड में ये हमारा पुल डैमेज हुआ है ये यूनियन काउंसिल बेड़ी का 30 से 35 हज़ार की आबादी है
One by one, the bodies are brought through on beds before being blessed in a mass funeral. Hundreds have now been confirmed dead after flash floods in northwest Pakistan and Pakistan-administered Kashmir.
A cloudburst came and my brother's entire family was killed. We have found bodies of our 6 family members and offered funeral prayers for them, and now we are going to bury them.
But the number of dead is rising hourly as the water recedes and rescuers sift through debris for bodies.
25 people from my family have died fighting the floods. My nephew was coming from Malaysia, so one of my brothers went to pick him up, and I wasn't home, so we survived.
The area is prone to flash floods and landslides, but experts say climate change is contributing to an increase in cloudbursts, which are sudden, intense downpours over small areas. A peer-reviewed study released this week by a network of international scientists found rainfall in Pakistan is around 15% heavier because of global warming.
It was like the end of the world. We've lived here since 1972, but nothing compares to this devastating flood.
As the aftermath of this disaster becomes clear, the area braces itself for yet more rain, with warnings today of more flash floods and torrential downpours for the next 5 years.
Another thing is about climate change. It's affecting mostly the poor region, poor countries like Pakistan. you have these big organizations, big corporations that come in, and you know they build these factories that bring a lot of pollution, and all this stuff affects the climate. You know, and they have a big mountain, K2 mountain in Pakistan, which has a lot of ice. So if the companies or organizations or buildings, they let out a lot of steam from the factories, slowly melt the ice, which has a effect and cause the down on the region. You know, and I believe 1/3 of Pakistan has already been flooded. As 1/3 of Pakistan. They had a big flood before this. This is science, small compared to what happened last time. But yeah, it's affecting the poor region. And you got a company like Nestle, you know, which is Israeli brand that sport the Zionist cause. You need to boycott this. Get them out of your country. You know.
Days.
Nearly 100 MPs have called for injured children in Gaza to be brought to the UK for treatment urgently. The government announced plans to do so 2 weeks ago. Today, the cross-party group wrote to the Home, Foreign and Health Secretaries asking
This is the
them
thing,
to begin
you
the
know.
process without...
If you don't want people come into your country, you know, foreigners, stop going in their country and wrecking everything up. You know, supporting aid to Israel. You know, destabilizing the region. You know, the people are looking for safe haven. You know, they're obviously coming to the UK or wherever, Western countries, you know, for security. You know, because we're the ones doing damage. So if you can't beat them, join them. That's the mentality they're having. Because it's not safe in the Middle East at the moment. You know, with Israel, whatever they're doing the Great Israel Project.
Without delay.
The Home Secretary has once again defended prescribing Palestine Action as a terrorist organisation. Writing in The Observer, Yvette Cooper accused Palestine Action of carrying out an escalating campaign, saying it was more than a regular protest group. More than 700 people have been arrested since the group was banned at the beginning of July, including more than 500 at a demonstration in London last week and 13 in Norwich yesterday.
The thing is, what I don't understand is that I think